My boss let me work remotely for a week, then sent my paycheck to a coworker who took credit for everything I did. I asked for a remote week because I was burned out. Not dramatic, not lazy, just stretched too thin. I hadn't taken a break in 5 months, and my parents hadn't seen me since Christmas. So I requested 5 workdays from home. My boss, Mark, said it was fine. Keep your files clean. Share updates in the team folder. Be reachable. That was the whole instruction. We were a design agency, 6 people total. Small, messy, fake chill. The kind of place where no one takes lunch breaks, but everyone has a beanbag and a work hard, play hard quote taped to their monitor. I was the lead UI designer on 2 client projects. One was an app redesign for a mental health startup. The other was a pitch deck for a crypto-adjacent AI thing I never understood, but kept quiet about because the check cleared. Both were high value. Both were due the following week. And I'd already done 80% of the work. So I packed my laptop, flew to my hometown, and set up in my old bedroom. Same desk, new mouse, blackout curtains. I wasn't slacking. I just needed space. The first 2 days went fine. I checked in. I shared updates. I pushed new Figma screens into the project folders and labeled them clearly with my initials, timestamps, and version history. I even screen recorded walkthroughs for the team. Narrated every decision. Every adjustment. I was over-communicating to avoid problems. Day 3, I noticed something weird. I logged into the mental health app project to get feedback from the client's PDF. The file had already been opened that morning. But not by me. At 3:41 a.m., someone had added a small label change. Changed a button from Get Help to Talk to Someone. The change wasn't bad. Just subtle. But it was labeled JR Update 1. JR. That's Jeff. Jeff was one of our mid-level product guys. Not bad at his job, not particularly creative. Mostly just existed in the background. But he had access to Figma, and apparently he was now editing my files. At 3:41 a.m. in a file that was assigned to me. During a week I had full permission to work remote. I stared at the change log. Then I opened Slack. No messages from him. No pings. No team-wide announcements. Nothing. I shrugged it off. Maybe he thought he was being helpful. Maybe Mark told him to check something. Still, I added a comment tagging him. Hey Jeff, just saw this update. Should we sync before making content changes? Try to keep versions clean. No reply. That night, I stayed up late. Not working, just couldn't sleep. Kept wondering why someone else was in my files. At 1:12 a.m., I opened the pitch deck Figma. New change logged. Not even subtle this time. The entire slide layout had been restructured. Colors altered. Typography adjusted. Version history showed. JR Revision A. Again, middle of the night. And this time, my name had been deleted from the header section where I usually tag the lead designer for each deck. Replaced with his initials. I texted Mark in the morning. Kept it chill. Just said, hey, seeing some file changes on my side. Just checking in. Do I still own these or is someone taking over deliverables? He didn't answer. Not for hours. At 2:30 p.m., he finally replied. You're good. We're just helping polish things since you're out of office. Team effort. I wasn't out of office. I was remote. With full permission. I typed out a full paragraph explaining that I was online every day, tracking changes, and that I'd like to avoid confusion in version control. But I deleted it. Didn't want to look defensive. Didn't want to be that girl, again, the one who doesn't play nice. I just said, got it. We'll keep pushing updates. And I did. Day 4 was the client call. Mark said I didn't need to present, just observe and listen. You're working hard already. Let Jeff walk them through what we've got so far. I joined early. Camera off. Mic off. Just watching. Then Jeff opened the pitch deck. The one I'd built. The one I'd spent 19 hours on. He said, so here's the concept I developed for your Series A investor round. Not. We. Not. Our team. I. He clicked through each slide like he wrote every word, every design cue, every micro interaction, every color shift based on accessibility testing I did manually. Mark nodded the whole time. The client complimented the layout. I was muted. Couldn't speak. No one asked for my input. After the call, Mark messaged me. Client's thrilled. Jeff really nailed it. We'll let you two tag team on final delivery. I didn't respond. I just opened the pay stub that hit my inbox 10 minutes later. It was light. $320 lighter than usual. I scanned the hours. Halftime. They'd logged me as working 18 hours that week. Out of 40. I checked the notes. No billable work recorded for main accounts. Then I saw the line below it. Bonus, J. Randall, client pitch support plus design contributions. He got a $500 bonus. For my files, my deck, my interface. And somehow, I had nothing billable on record. I didn't cry, didn't email, didn't beg. I just opened Figma and pulled every edit log, every version, every timestamp, every screen recorded walkthrough I'd uploaded, every message in Slack, every draft, every asset folder with my initials. And I started building something new. Not for them. For me. Because if they were gonna try to erase me, they were gonna have to do a lot more than press backspace. I started with the version history. In Figma, you can't fully erase who created what. Not if you know where to look. Every component I designed, buttons, spacing, alignment grids, typography styles, had my fingerprints on them. Every action I took was logged under my name. Even if someone duplicated a file, the original creator stays recorded. So I made a list. Slide by slide. Screen by screen. I pulled screenshots showing the original file creation with my initials. Screenshots showing Jeff entering days later and making tiny cosmetic tweaks, color saturation changes, slight text repositioning, font swaps. Then I did the same for the pitch deck. I had exports from the original mockups I sent Mark. They had metadata with creation dates. I compared them to the final client version Jeff presented. It was the same design. Exactly the same, except he rearranged the order and added his name in the top corner. Next, I checked the Slack logs. I found a message from Mark, granting me full remote access for the week. Found every link I shared with the team, Google Drive folders, Figma walkthroughs, Loom videos with my screen. I even had 2 emails from Mark complimenting my direction on the app flow. Then came the call recording. Clients always ask for a copy, and that means we record every Zoom meeting. That day's call was saved in the company's shared archive, and I had access. I downloaded it. Jeff clearly says, "This concept came from a lot of late nights. I took a clean sheet approach to reimagining your product's digital footprint." No mention of me. Not once. I added a timecode log to the video. 3 minutes and 15 seconds, Jeff presents my opening slide. 7 minutes and 58 seconds, Jeff shows my flowchart and calls it his rethinking. 12 minutes and 33 seconds, Mark praises Jeff's UX intuition. 20 minutes and 2 seconds, client says, "Tell your designer this is strong work." Mark says, "Will do," and nods at Jeff. I stitched everything together in a Google Drive folder labeled clarification. I included a PDF summary of my contributions, Figma history screenshots, Slack messages, my original design exports, the client call video with timestamps, a copy of my employment agreement showing my lead role on both projects. Then I drafted an email. Not to Mark. Not to Jeff. To the client. Specifically to the one who'd said, "Tell your designer this is strong work." Subject: clarifying authorship of design work presented on Tuesday's call. Tone: calm. Professional. No drama. I said, "Hi, client. I want to clarify some recent confusion regarding authorship of the design work presented earlier this week. I was the lead UI designer for your project, and all visual components, from structure to user flow, were created by me over the past 3 weeks. While I wasn't permitted to present directly on the call, I've attached a timeline of my contributions and relevant project history. I'm incredibly proud of the work and grateful you appreciated the direction. Let me know if you have any questions. Attached everything. Sent it. Logged out. The reply came in an hour later. Hi, thank you for this. I'm honestly stunned. It was clear during the call that Jeff was presenting this work as his own. We had no idea. I'd like to talk further, privately, if you're available this week. We scheduled a Zoom for the next day. Just me and the client. I walked them through the Figma files in real time. Showed my original file creation. Played clips from the first Loom video where I talked through the layout. They were polite, but visibly pissed. At the end, they said, I appreciate you showing us this. It changes how we're handling things on our end. 2 days later, Mark emailed me. Subject: Contract termination, project realignment. As we realign team roles, we're concluding your contract effective immediately. We appreciate your contributions and wish you the best. No explanation. No reason. No mention of what I'd done right. Just a cold shut door. I didn't reply. Didn't ask why. Didn't beg to stay. Instead, I updated my resume. Changed my LinkedIn status to open to work. Posted a quiet update on Twitter. Nothing bitter, just a portfolio link. For days after that, I got another email. From the same client. We're severing our relationship with the agency. We've decided to hire you directly. Would you be open to a contract-to-hire role as our internal product designer? I didn't celebrate. I just responded. Yes. Let me know the details. Because that's how you deal with liars. Not by arguing. By documenting. Quietly. Thoroughly. Coldly. Because eventually, the truth doesn't need to shout. It just shows up in high resolution. The first week in the new role felt unreal. Same project. Same assets. But everything was different. No Slack weirdness. No backdoor edits. No sudden realignments. The client onboarded me as a contract to hire with a clear title, Product Designer, Lead. No ambiguity, no passive-aggressive notes, no performative status checks. They gave me the same Figma permissions I had before, but this time the account was mine. Sole owner. No shadow logins. No silent collaborators moving things while I slept. For the first time in months, I actually enjoyed working again. I wasn't watching my back. Wasn't paranoid about deleted version history. Wasn't trying to prove I existed inside my own projects. And then, about 10 days in, I got a weird ping. A designer from another agency messaged me on LinkedIn. Hey, random, but is this your work? She sent me a Behance link. The post was titled, Mobile Health Concept, UX Case Study. And the thumbnail was unmistakable. It was my app. My wireframes. My color hierarchy. My spacing grid. My exact slide structure. But under a different name. Jeff Randall. I clicked through the post. It was a full case study. Carefully written. Screenshots embedded. Descriptions like, after conducting preliminary UX research, I identified critical flow bottlenecks. There was no flow research. He stole my layout and added buzzwords. He even used a couple of my old screenshots. Same file names, same component names in the corner, just cropped tighter. I took a breath. Didn't panic. Just started documenting. First, I archived the Behance page with a timestamp capture. Then I pulled the metadata from my original exports, file names, dates, version history. Then I screen recorded the LinkedIn profile view of Jeff's portfolio update, where he proudly shared the fake case study thanking his great team at the agency for trusting me. I took screenshots of the internal Figma file logs from back when I still had access, showing his edits coming in days after mine, always late, always surface level. Then I wrote one email. Not to him. Not to Mark. To the client's legal team. I kept it surgical. Hi, I'm reaching out to flag an external portfolio post that falsely claims authorship over work currently owned by your product team. All designs in the linked case study are my original work, completed during my time under client name, and are covered under the current contract. I've attached documentation confirming dates, asset history, and source files. Please let me know how you'd like to proceed. They responded in 20 minutes. 3 hours later, the case study was gone. Deleted. Scrubbed. Jeff's profile suddenly listed him as seeking new opportunities. Then a friend of mine, still working inside the old agency, sent me a screenshot from their internal Slack. A manager wrote, "Due to a misunderstanding regarding IP attribution, we've ended our engagement with Jeff." Same guy they gave a $500 bonus. Same guy who presented my work while I was muted. Cut loose without a word. I didn't respond. Didn't message him. Didn't post anything. Just moved on. Finished the app. Pushed it live. Watched it climb into the App Store's health category rankings. My name was in the credits. No initials. No shared ownership. 2 months later, the client converted me to full-time. Salary. Benefits. A title that meant something. Mark never reached out. Neither did anyone else from the old place. But sometimes I check their site. They've wiped all mention of the project. Pretend it never happened. But it did. And I have every version. Every file. Every log. Because sometimes you don't need to win. You just need to outlast the lie.